Well, let's see. The Catholics brought Christianity originally to Thailand about 300 years ago, and Protestant missionaries have been working there for about 200 years. The CMA alone, we've been there almost about 80 years we've been in the country. And because we've been there that long, God has established a national church within that country. And so one of the neat things that we're seeing now is a lot of the Thai churches now are doing their own church planting. So that's exciting to see. And that has been going on for a number of years. But the first 50 years or so, we were involved in doing leprosy work, working the refugee camps in the 70s. And then we did a lot of church planting and stuff in parts in the northeast part of the world, or northeast part of the country mainly. And then the last 20 or so years been focusing on Bangkok. But as the church has continued to develop, where we see a need, where I see the real need for missions in Thailand is in the area of leadership development. Because the Thai church is able to plant the church, able to plant churches, actually better than we can, because they understand the culture, they understand the language a lot better than we international workers do. So they can actually start churches more effectively than we can. But one of the areas that we really see that there's a real lack of is in leadership training and development. We do have some Bibles. We do have one Bible school in the Northeast, and there are a number of Bible schools around the country. And they are effective in training full-time pastors, but the church is growing so quickly that it's not able to keep up with the present need for pastors. And so there's a real shortage of those. If you were to look in our Thai CMA churches alone, I would say about 1/3 of those churches do not have a full-time pastor leading them. And if you were to ask the pastors of those other 2/3, do you have a program or a process for intentionally training lay leaders? Most often they would say no. They've got things to teach their people on how to evangelize, how to share the gospel. They have things on how to disciple other believers. But most churches do not have a program or a process or a curriculum that they can use for intentionally training lay leaders. And this is kind of the niche where we've come into. About 8 years ago, we started what's called a TE ministry, Theological Education by Extension. We run a modified version of that in Thailand. And basically our vision is I would love to see every church in Thailand, regardless of the denomination, have a program or a process for intentionally training lay leaders. And so we started with our Thai CMA churches, and we've seen a number of those churches start centers within them. But now we've begun to open that up, and we now have some Mennonite, some independent, Pentecostal. We've had a Baptist church join. And so that's exciting to see God being able to spread that. But just there still is such a great need for lay leadership training, because we have lots of our Thai lay people in our churches that would love to go to Bible school and study, but can't do that because they have families. They can't leave from their village to go to the city and study it for 4 years, or they've got jobs they can't leave and just go to study at a Bible school. So what we do is we kind of bring the Bible school to them and to help train people locally who have a real heart to serve God in their church, but just would love to learn more about Christian theology and love to develop their skills in teaching and preaching and witnessing and whatnot. And so through our program, we help to train them to get those kinds of skills, so that when they complete our 3-year program, they have the same skills to function as a lay pastor in a church. They don't have the same knowledge, the depth of knowledge as a Bible school graduate would have, but they have the basic kind of understanding of theology as well as the basic ministry skills they need to lead the church.